Hi, friends and readers. Today we are going to talk about how do characters affect the plot of a story. So this week we've been reading Martina, the Beautiful Cockroach, and we talked about the smaller characters in the story, but today we're going to talk about the main character, Martina. So when we talk about character traits, one of the reasons we do this is so we understand the characters in the story. Remember, we talked about what they say, what they think, and what they do. Well, sometimes the smaller characters play a role that affects the way the main character acts, and their actions affect how the story turns out. So in this case, Martina, the main character, developed through the story. So she changed how she felt in some of her character traits. So in the story, Martina's whole goal was to find a suitor that was right for her. And in the beginning of the story, Martina was very nervous and didn't want to do the coffee test that her grandmother told her to do. We know that she was nervous because she said, "You want me to do what? It will make him angry." But the grandma convinced her that if you do this, then you will know how he will speak to you when he loses his temper. So at the beginning of the story, Martina really didn't want to perform the coffee test because she was nervous. She was such a kind character that she did not want to upset someone on purpose. But as we continued to read, we noticed some things about Martina. And when we got to the middle of the story, we saw that Martina was shocked after she did the coffee test for the first time and that it worked. The first suitor was very rude and self-centered, and she wanted to continue to actually do the coffee test because she realized that this test does work and it shows who the characters really are. So some of the supporting details that we saw in the text was Martina was stunned. "But I cannot accept. You are too cocky for me." So Martina realized she can tell that this was not working to date these guys because they were being rude and things like that. So she decided she was going to do the coffee test. It said she rolled her eyes in disbelief. The coffee test saved her from yet another unsuitable suitor. So here we can see that she actually thought that this was a good plan that her grandmother gave her. And in the end, Martina was still a little bit nervous when she met a nice guy who she wanted to do the coffee test on because he seemed so sweet. But Martina was willing to do it anyways. But to her surprise, Perez actually did the coffee test on her. And so Perez, no coffee for Perez. Martina was really nervous and didn't want to do this, but the grandmother said, "Well, you have to." To Martina's surprise, though, she was delighted when Perez actually did the coffee test on her. She said, "I'm not angry. I found my perfect match." So all of the things and all of the suitors that Martina came across really changed how she felt and looked at these other characters in the story. So when we're looking at characters, they can develop in a story how they act and what they say and what they do. And events in the story help this, but so do the other characters and interactions the characters have with one another. So when Martina interacted with the first suitor, she realized that this is maybe something that she wants to do. She wants to do this coffee test, whereas first she really didn't want to. And then in the end, Martina realized that this coffee test is what helped her find true love. And meeting all these different characters, or suitors, should we say, in Martina's case, she realized what she really did want, and this changed how the story played out. If she didn't do this coffee test, this maybe might have ended in a different way. It might have said, "Oh, she married the first suitor, and then she was miserable and unhappy." But by doing this certain action of the coffee test in this case, it changed the characters and how they acted, which helped Martina develop into a good character herself. So, when you're reading, think about how a character changes over time. We talked about Bruno's home before, and now we're doing this in Martina and the Beautiful Cockroach. So, enjoy!